Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best NBA-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here in Hollywood, California. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining us as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, a little bit of television, all sorts of good stuff that comes up. It's just a good time to have with friends and family. All right, I'm, of course, joined today by my cohort, the one and the only, the great, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing, sir?
I feel privileged to be one of your friends and family, to be here with you on this Monday morning, so thanks for having me.
And thank you for being had. And, I'm not going to lie to you. Not the best start to my day today.
No.
We are normally we do the John Campea Show live. We are not doing the John Campea Show live today because we came in on a Monday and there was a power outage and some of our streaming stuff. We just can't connect to YouTube, so we're pre-recording the show. I was so mad. I almost punched a hole through a wall. I was so mad. I just get so frustrated because we had hundreds and thousands of people waiting in the live chat, waiting for a show to start because I told them we were going to do it live and then we don't do it live. And I always get really upset when I let down and disappoint our film fan community. That really bothers me.
These are the times that try men's souls, John. This is what forges you into a stronger man.
If anything ever defined first world problems, it's I couldn't get my live stream to connect to YouTube. So that's there. All right, listen, guys, we got a bunch of stuff that we're going to talk about here today. But before we get to our main topics, which are, of course, selected by you guys, there's a couple things off the top we're going to start here with. And the first thing is this. There were a couple of new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies that came out in the last couple of years. And I remember when they first announced them, and they were going to be produced by Platinum Dune, which is Michael Bay's thing. So everybody freaked out at first, saying, don't let Michael Bay touch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And, of course, he wasn't actually directing the films. He was producing them. And I'll tell you what, this is one of the 5 or 6 movies that I saw coming and thought, this is a terrible idea. And then the first one came out, and I really was quite charmed by it. I actually quite liked Tony Shalhoub doing the voice of Master Splinter and all that kind. I was actually quite charmed by it. Then they announced that they're doing a sequel. And they got one of my favorite TV guys, Stephen Amell, from Arrow, was going to be in it playing Casey. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, this is going to be great. And it was awful. Not only was it awful, it completely flopped at the box office, made a lot less money. And so there went that. However, the producers of those first 2 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, who, by the way, are also the producers of the Jack Ryan television series and of A Quiet Place, they were just recently talking. Their names are Bradley Fuller and Andrew Form, and they were being interviewed on the red carpet, and they confirmed they are, number 1, rebooting a live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and number 2, we ain't going to have to wait till 2023 like Matt Reeves' Batman. They're apparently going to go into production near the end of this year. So, Robert, let me ask you this. Number 1, is it a good idea at all for them to reboot this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle things? And number 2, what do you think about this timetable? They could actually be getting this thing in motion by the end of the year.
Well, see, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles I have a weird relationship with because I read the original comics when they came out, and they were basically
the black and white original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics are the greatest things ever. No incarnation has ever come close.
No, and they were these very witty. It was a parody comic that was sort of sending up Frank Miller's Ronin back in the day, and what the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have become is very different from how they started.
Yes.
Now, look, you gotta love 4 characters that are turtles on the half shell that are named after painters.
Yes, famous
so at
artists.
least kids are learning their art history. I like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The 3 previous live action films from the New Line years, I did not like the last Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, but I have to say, I like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I just like them. And if they come up with a movie that's good, I think Into the Spider-Verse is going to set the tone from now on about what you can do with movies like this.
I hope not.
Well, look,
I don't want one formula ever to take precedence.
No. I don't mean it like that. But in terms of the fact that the creativity, I think people can start thinking beyond the box. And I think if we can see the kind of creativity that's in every frame of Into the Spider-Verse and bring that kind of verve and that energy and that excitement to moribund franchises like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
so
look,
bring it on.
I have never liked the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles post the original black and white comics, because I'll tell you what, for those of you who don't remember them, the original black and white Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics, and this isn't about, I don't like anything that's not the original. That's not what this is about, but they were dark.
Oh, yeah.
They were violent. Like the internal monologues like Donatello would have were like, they were nightmarish kind of things about, I'm going to do this. And
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Like
They were very adult.
They were not pizza-loving, skateboard-riding cowabunga dudes
No.
that they later morphed into, and that's fine. But again, like I said, I was very pleasantly surprised by that first one that put out by Platinum Dunes. I just found it a little more, no, not a little more, a hell of a lot more charming than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And then the second one became what I thought the first one would be and just completely went off the rails.
Yeah.
And was terrible. But hey, if you're somebody, I like the idea of rebooting it because look, you clearly went in the wrong direction with that, with the last one, with the sequel. If you're going to do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles again, and let's face it, you have to because it's too popular of an IP, it's a good move to reboot rather than just do, like, say, part 3 at this point.
I agree.
All right, well, listen, the second thing off the top is this. There's a little show out there. Not many people watch it. It's on some obscure little cable network called Game of Thrones. You may or may not have heard of it. We've known for a long time that we would have to wait for a long time for the final 6-episode season to come and hit us. Well, it is now official. They put out their real first teaser, which I'm convinced has nothing to do with any of the footage that's actually in the show.
No, it was shot for the teaser.
Yes, but we got Jon Snow, Sansa, and Arya.
The remaining Starks.
Yes, the remaining Starks, other than the little...
Bran.
Yeah, rather than Bran. The remaining Starks there, and of course, the Frost comes in. But the most notable thing, though, was the date. We finally got a date. It's April 14th. Rob, I know you have been waiting anxiously for Game of Thrones to come back. I know this is a huge property to you. Seeing this date come. Now, we thought that it might actually come May. There were some talks that it might actually come out in May. Instead, it's coming out in April. It's actually hitting before Avengers Endgame. So, I mean, your thoughts on the release date?
Well, it's right before tax day. So, and what I thought was really interesting, they're in the Stark family crypt, underneath Winterfell.
Yes.
And everyone who's in there is dead. So they're walking past. You hear the voices of Catelyn Stark and Ned Stark. Oh, spoiler alert! But the people that have died in the show, and then they walk up and they find statues of themselves.
Yeah, kind of creepy.
Dead.
Yes.
And then of course, the winter comes into the crypt, and clearly this footage I think was shot for the teaser.
This isn't footage lifted from the show. No,
but
not at
I'm
all.
still watching, and I love what it was stating. Like we're all doomed. The end of the world. It's not just winter is coming. The end of the world is coming, and that's this is some Return of the King level stuff, man. Mordor is on the move. Sauron is the all-seeing eye of the King of the North. I can't wait, dude. I can't wait. I set a stopwatch on my phone to count down because it starts. You can watch it at 6 o'clock on the East Coast. I mean, on the West Coast. If you're on the West Coast, you watch the East Coast feed,
right?
So you can see it at 6 o'clock.
HBO puts it all out at the same time.
Puts it all at the same time, so you can actually start a stopwatch and have that countdown. I've got that countdown happening right now.
I know a lot of people are excited,
dude.
A lot of people are excited.
Come on. I'm so excited.
Listen, guys, let's get on now to our main topics of the day. And how do we select our main topics around here? Well, it's actually kind of simple. You guys select them by emailing me your topics and questions anytime to john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep those emails to 90 words or less. So let's get on to our first email today. And our first email today comes to us from our friend Fahulin Q, who writes, "Hey, John, went to look at the box office report this week, fully expecting to see Aquaman at #1 again, but was really surprised to see it wasn't. Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston's The Upside was. Do you think this is particularly surprising, and did you find any other surprises at the box office this week?" All right, so thanks a lot for the question. And yes, that's right, Aquaman's streak does come to an end. I suspected it would. I wasn't guaranteed, but I suspected Aquaman would have come in #1 at the box office again this weekend. Let's take a look at the results here right now. The box office results this weekend. #1, as was mentioned in the email, Kevin Hart, Bryan Cranston's The Upside makes $19.5 million. Aquaman comes in at #2, just behind it at $17.2 million. At #3 spot, which is a little bit surprising, A Dog's Way Home makes $11.3 million. By the way, the audiences are kind of liking that film. #4 was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse hanging in there at $9 million, crossing the $300 million mark. So it has now safely broken even and is now getting into profitable territory. And coming in #5, The Escape Room. Robert, out of all the stuff we see the box office report this week, what stands out to you as maybe a little bit surprising?
Well, maybe A Dog's Way Home surprising, but
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise me that the upside is number one. I mean, Kevin Hart, especially the movies he's been doing with The Rock, he's definitely a box office force. Jumanji, he's staked his
Night
claim.
School notwithstanding.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we also have Bryan Cranston, who doesn't love Bryan
Oh,
Cranston?
yeah.
You know, I mean, he was Malcolm in the Middle's dad. He was Walter White. I mean, everyone
He was
loves
Jerry Seinfeld's dentist
That's
in Seinfeld.
Yes,
a lot of people look that up, guys. He was Jerry Seinfeld's dentist.
And you know, this is actually a remake of a French film. So a lot of
The
people
Intouchables.
Yes, and I have not seen the movie, but look how it looks. The trailers look really funny, and apparently it really delivers. It's a good film. So you know, when everyone says, "Oh, it defeated Aquaman at the box office," yeah, after 4 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like Aquaman just crossed $1 billion. So I don't think the upside's going to be making. There's not going to be $1 billion upside to the upside.
No, you're not going to see a big swing on that. I was not surprised by the upside doing okay because of
Right.
Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart draws. I mean, he just does. So I wasn't surprised. I still thought Aquaman might nudge it out there, and it was very, very close.
Very close.
By the way, so I saw the upside. It's good. It's good. But the 2011 original French film, and boy, do I sound like one of those pretentious douchebags. The 2011 original French version. But no, seriously, the 2011 original French version, The Intouchables. And this one is, at least from the trailers, you think it's a shot-by-shot remake. And it's not a shot-by-shot remake.
Right.
They do take enough liberties, but it is the same film. That if you like The Upside, you owe it to yourself to go and check out The Intouchables. The Intouchables is so moving and fun, and funny and uplifting and impactful at the same time. The Upside doesn't hold a candle to The Intouchables, but it's still an enjoyable film. And I think if you have a chance to get there and see it, I'll tell you what my biggest surprise was. I was not expecting Replicas to be a big hit, the new Keanu Reeves film. I was not expecting it to be a hit. However,
Yeah.
everybody's buzzing about Keanu Reeves right now. John Wick this, John Wick that. Everybody's excited and blah, blah, blah. So you got him starring in this movie. Replicas debuted at number 12 at the box office, making $2.5 million in wide release. Again, I was not expecting Replicas to be in the top 2 or 3, but $2.5 million for Keanu Reeves, whose name is really hot right now. I mean, if this doesn't do anything else other than remind us that stars don't bring out the people to the theaters anymore.
Plus, I thought the marketing for Replicas was terrible.
Not good, and not a lot of it either.
No, I mean, how can you go wrong with Keanu Reeves trying to bring his dead family back to life? You know, everyone watched him try and avenge his dead dog. You can't turn that into a movie people want to see.
We were all more emotionally connected to the dead dog, though, I think.
I guess so.
Who wasn't? All right. What's our next topic today?
The next topic comes from Eric Fadden, who says, "Hey, John, well, you said a couple of weeks ago that it was now only a matter of time until Aquaman hit $1 billion, and it finally did. I think all of us comic book movie fans are happy about that. But here's my question. Aside from major team-up movies like Endgame, what could you see as the next standalone comic book movie that could possibly join that billion-dollar club? Thanks, and may the filthy be ever in your favor."
Well, thanks a lot for that. I like that. That's clever. Well, okay. Yes, a few weeks ago, I said it's inevitable that Aquaman will hit $1 billion, but let's make no mistake about it. Prior to that, I never thought in a million years it was going to make $1 billion. I mean, I always knew it would be successful.
Right.
But I never thought it would make $1 billion. I just didn't. There's no way. I thought it could be successful, but successful to me was 500 million, 600 million. I thought it could cap at about maybe 700 million. Said never going to hit 8, certainly never going to hit $1 billion, and here we are, it hit $1 billion. And so look, and let's put it in perspective. It's not just that it crossed $1 billion, it's done really well. It's now taking its place. Remember, I know it's 2019 right now, but Aquaman is a 2018 film. And it right now ranks amongst the top of the films of 2018. Let's take a look at this. Domestically speaking, Aquaman right now is the number 6 film for 2018 domestically, and it's probably going to become the number 5. It only has like another 20-something million dollars it needs to do to catch up to Deadpool 2. So Aquaman is 6th place in 2018 with 287 million. Deadpool 2 at 318 million. Then we go up to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, 417 million just domestically. Incredibles 2 at 608 million, big jump there. Avengers Infinity War at 678 million, and Black Panther was the number 1 domestic film of the year at 700 million. And worldwide, Aquaman also has a place on the stage because the worldwide numbers like this. Aquaman is in the number 5 position at $1 billion. Then ahead of it is Incredibles 2. I don't think the momentum at this point is pretty diminished, so I don't know that it's going to catch Incredibles 2. But still, it comes in top 5. Incredibles 2 at $1.2 billion. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom at $1.3 billion. Black Panther just ahead of it at $1.3 billion. And then, of course, way ahead of all that is Avengers Infinity War at $2 billion. So we look at that, huge win for Aquaman, huge win for Walter Hamada and the folks at DC in this new direction they're trying to set there. But the interesting question then becomes, as was asked in the email, what's the next superhero movie, non-team up, so that disqualified, because obviously Endgame is clearly going to be the next one to join the $1 billion club, if not $2 billion. But what's the next standalone one that could hit that? Here's the ones that I consider to be the top options right now. So we got Captain Marvel coming out. I said before, I will say again. I believe when you got Ant-Man and the Wasp with $650 million and Black Panther $1.3 billion, I believe Captain Marvel will come closer to Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm not saying it's only going to make $650 million, but $900 million becomes the even point. And I think it's just going to lean. I think it's going to come around $800, $700 million. It's going to be closer to Ant-Man and the Wasp. So I don't think Captain Marvel will be $1 billion. Spider-Man Far From Home. Yeah, I think that could be $1 billion film. The first one made $800+ million and everybody loved it. And then he appeared again in Avengers Infinity War and everybody loved him in Avengers Infinity War. I'm predicting as long as the reviews aren't bad, which who knows, maybe the movie sucks, but as long as it lives up to this quality of Homecoming, I think Spider-Man will be the next film to hit $1 billion. Wonder Woman has got to be one you got to look seriously at. Like Spider-Man Homecoming or Spider-Man Far From Home, the last Wonder Woman film also made $800+ million. Also a big hit with the critics. Yep. Also a big hit with the audience. You got to feel that they're probably going to come back in stronger force and support it, especially if Shazam can create some momentum. Then let's talk about Shazam. I don't think Shazam's $1 billion film. Like Doctor Strange and like Ant-Man, it's his first standalone movie without being introduced first in a previous film. Aquaman was introduced in a previous film. Black Panther was introduced in a previous film. So there's Spider-Man was introduced in a previous film. Shazam doesn't have that going for him. It can be successful. I just don't think it's going to be $1 billion. It may, but I just don't think it will be. And then, of course, you got Joker. And while I think this could very well be the best of the bunch, potentially,
right,
I don't see a huge box office for it, and maybe I'm wrong, and hopefully I am, but I don't see a big box office for that. Then you got some other contenders in there too. You got Suicide Squad 2 that they are supposedly still going to make. The first one made a whole ton of money, but not a great reception. I don't see it doing that. Hellboy has never made more than $300 million, so that's not going to be $1 billion. Spawn is not going to be $1 billion film, and there's a few others, but out of all the films we got upcoming, notwithstanding any team-up movies,
right,
what are the ones that you think have the potential there to maybe be the next to join that $1 billion club?
Well, here's the thing. Captain Marvel pre-sales are doing really, really, really well. Better, I think, than they actually expected.
Actually, better than I expected. My wife and I just thought we're going to go see press screenings, but then the other night Ann said, "Hey, let's get our opening night tickets anyway, so we can go see it opening night as well." We looked at like 5 different theaters and we couldn't find an empty seat. We were just, okay, so it's doing pretty well.
I think the geek audience, because we haven't been wowed by the trailers, I think though that this movie is going to stealthily, maybe potentially, if it's good, hit $1 billion.
Really?
I think that there's anticipation for this movie in the gen pop, as they say in prison. I think that there is a anticipation for this movie that goes beyond geek circles. I think obviously the female audience is primed to have another heroine lead a film like Wonder Woman,
and our first one in the MCU.
And I think again, the trailers haven't excited me. The trailers to me don't look like $1 billion movie, to be honest.
Right.
But that's just me personally, because I haven't seen the kind of spectacle that people want to see. Whereas Aquaman was spectacle.
Yeah, it was all come one. It was like a circus calling you. Come on, come on.
It was. You know what it was? It was like the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey's circus of superhero movies.
Yeah.
Except all the animals were from, the ocean.
And an octopus playing the drums. So yes, there you go.
A canonical octopus playing the drums. So I think Captain Marvel might do it, but after that, Wonder Woman, I'm sure will. Spider-Man, like you said, Far From Home, I think will absolutely make $1 billion.
Right. So next one up, I guess, is Spider-Man, because Wonder Woman's 2020.
Right.
But actually, you're thinking Captain Marvel will.
I think Captain Marvel will, because leading up to Infinity, look, as we get closer to Endgame, Infinity War, as we get closer to Avengers Endgame, I know that I'm gonna have to start taking like nitroglycerin pills for my heart because it's beating so fast with excitement.
It's
Captain Marvel is just gonna stoke those flames.
All right, let's move on now to the next email of the day. And the next email today comes to us from Larry Gibbons, who writes, "Hey, John and Robert, I've been hearing a lot about everyone's most anticipated movies of 2019, and no one is mentioning Hobbs and Shaw. Why? I think this is going to be the best of the Fast and the Furious movies, and the cast is really awesome. Just wondering what you think about it, and if you've seen the first pic Dwayne Johnson put out about him with Jason Statham and Idris Elba." All right, thanks a lot for the question, Larry. And just so you know what he's talking about, here is the picture Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson just put out on his Instagram with him, Jason Statham, and Idris Elba, who's going to be their villain in the film. And in the Instagram caption, Dwayne Johnson says Idris Elba is going to be the baddest badass villain that has ever been in a Fast and Furious film, which is saying something because the guy standing beside him, Jason Statham, was a pretty damn good villain in the Fast and Furious franchise. So we've got that going on. Robert, we do see a lot of most anticipated lists, and once he brought it up in the email, I thought, you know what, you're right. We're not hearing Hobbs and Shaw mentioned a lot. Are we underestimating Hobbs and Shaw? What do you think?
I think so. But John, I'm going to tell you about how much I can't stand the idea behind this movie. No. I love the Fast and Furious franchise.
Really?
I'm an unabashed. Fast 5 to me is the Citizen Kane of the franchise. If you haven't seen Fast 5, do yourself a favor and watch it now, because its level of genius it hits the stratosphere. And one of my favorite characters in any movie ever is Sun Kang's Han Solo.
Right.
Soul, like the city Soul.
Yes.
And who killed him?
Jason Statham.
Who murdered Sun Kang's Han Solo? Jason Statham. Shaw murdered him. And what? Now he's everyone's friend? Where is the justice for Sun Kang? Where is the justice? Are we going to see it? I think that I want to see The Rock tear that man asunder. I want his head taken off. I want him dead. It irks me that they decided to make Hobbs and Shaw team up when Sun Kang Han is dead. He was part of the family, man. Why are they doing this to us?
Yes, but you're overlooking, you and a lot of people are overlooking the most major, most important thing here. Jason Statham has a very cool foreign accent, and therefore that renders your argument moot.
I cannot believe Han Solo has the best hair of any character in any movie ever. He has the best collection of cars he had. And
how you evaluate your value on human life is amazing to me. Hair, car collection, please continue.
Hello, his girlfriend is Gal Gadot.
Yeah,
he wins.
She's dead. So
they're both dead, and there's no justice. No justice, no peace.
Yeah, I guess the way they look, there's been a lot of uproar about that ever since the last Fast and the Furious movie.
Very upset about it.
I guess the way they were angling and said, like, look, no, they just all have their own. Remember when he killed Han, he believed he was at war with this group. They just about killed his brother. Now, his brother had it coming, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sticking up for them. I'm just saying that's their rationale.
Shaw.
Well,
I cannot believe.
Let's see how they play this out. Moving forward. But I'll tell you what, everybody is underestimating this movie.
No, I think so. Look, it's going to be great. I think this movie's going to be great. And, I'm about to walk off the show because of your position on Shaw.
Oh yeah.
But I do think the film's going to be great. And I really I thought Dwayne Johnson's character as Hobbs was a great addition. He came in.
He saved the franchise.
In Fast 5, he came in and he made it I mean,
that's how he got that nickname, franchise Viagra.
Right.
Which is funny, but it's true. That's what he came in and did.
It was really good. I mean, and that was part of what made Fast 5 the Citizen Kane of the Fast and Furious franchise.
Right. But I think we can all agree. Everybody get this trending on Twitter. Hashtag Han had it coming.
My God, justice for Han. Han had it coming. If any one of you puts that hashtag out there, I'm going to tweet to Sun Kang, because I always tweet to him. He's never tweeted me back. Justin Lin's never tweeted me back. But, justice for Han.
Well, I'll tell you why the one thing people need to be focused on when we're talking about, are they underestimating this franchise? And the biggest reason, besides Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jason Statham and Idris Elba and this cast, David Leitch, the guy who directed John Wick, the guy who directed or co-directed John Wick, the guy who directed Deadpool 2, the guy who directed Atomic Blonde, which is one of the best pure action films I've seen in a while. I had some script issues, but overall, it was a riveting movie to watch. This is the guy directing this movie with a Jason Statham, a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and Idris Elba. Are you kidding me? If for no other reason, like I always talk about this, because we talked about this with Aquaman 2, when James Wan got announced as the director, that's when we all said, okay, Aquaman's legit. Keep your eyes on this, because the director is the most important guy going into this thing. When they announced that David was going to be directing this thing, it's like, hold on a second. This could have already been really kind of fun. Now this guy's directing. It's gonna be just off the rails. It's gonna be off the rails.
I mean, all of my hyperbole aside, which I am correct. Just let me point that out. I am deliriously excited for this movie too, because of the pedigree, the actors involved. I mean, I miss these shameless. John Wick brought back action cinema, the glory days of action cinema to
very much,
today.
yeah.
And I think we're going to be getting that with this movie. I think it's going to be a great film, even though it's absolutely wrong-headed in its conception.
Hashtag, I wish I got to Han first. All right.
Oh.
Robert, what's next?
Okay, what do we have? Okay, Anthony Hester says, greetings, fellow movie fans. Why is it taking so long for Hollywood to get its act together and give us a Masters of the Universe movie? Isn't it a no-brainer? How can movies like A Dog's Way Home get made and no one can get a He-Man movie done? Is it politics? Fans want this movie. Why won't Hollywood listen? Thanks.
Well, there's a couple things here. First of all, you're right. They've been trying to get this Masters of the Universe movie going forever. With a who's lineup of they've had no less than 4 directors attached to this thing. Now, the current director attached to it right now is two brothers. I'm trying to remember the name of the two guys now. These two brothers are directing, who haven't directed anything of note before, okay? Ang Lee was once connected to direct this. That then fell apart. Then David S. Goyer, who of course kind of co-wrote the Dark Knight trilogy with Christopher Nolan and Jonathan Nolan. Unfortunately, he also directed Blade Trinity, which is one of the worst superhero movies of all time. Then John N. Chu, for the longest time, was attached to direct Masters of the Universe. He just did Crazy Rich Asians. Now, he also did Justin Bieber's Never Say Never, and he also did G.I. Joe Retaliation, and he also did Gem and the Holograms. But he did Crazy Rich Asians, and that's actually pretty damn good. So you've had a lot of people attached to this. Now, they just announced, so then we haven't heard anything for a while. Then they just announced these two writers have just come on. Writers Matt Holloway and Art Markham are the two guys that they just brought on. So they're going to be rewriting the script that David S. Goyer had submitted before they're going to rewrite it. Now, these guys have written a couple of very notable films. Films like Iron Man they did. They did Punisher Warzone, which I love Punisher Warzone. I know a lot of people didn't like Punisher Warzone. I thought it was visceral.
I loved it too. And, you know, the director, Lexi Alexander, she's very active on Twitter.
Yeah.
And she's very accessible. You can talk to her.
I've had her in studio before and chatted with her. She's great. These guys also directed the upcoming Men in Black International, which looks really good. Now, of course, they also wrote Transformers The Last Night, which is probably the worst of the Transformers movies, but a couple of really solid things on their plate. Look, as far as the question, why won't Hollywood give us what we want? Because Hollywood isn't in the business of giving what a couple of people tell them they want. Hollywood is in the business of trying to make money. And they have never been convinced that if we put this thing out, we're going to be able to make money at this point. At least if, you know, haven't found a way to do it in such a way that will be cost effective
Yeah.
and at the same time can make us some money at the box office. Because guess what? Everybody said, just make any Dragon Ball movie and it'll be $1 billion movie.
Right.
And that thing flopped hard. Just put out any Pokemon movie and it's going to be $1 billion. And they flop hard. These guys do got to be a little bit more careful. And it's really easy for us from a fan point of view to think, oh, just make a movie about that property and instantly it'll be $1 billion film. And it's just not that way.
Right.
And look, I would rather them go, look, we haven't solved this Rubik's Cube of Masters of the Universe yet, and wait until they do find the right way to do it, and then take a swing. Because here's the problem. You do a Masters of the Universe movie with He-Man now, and let's say you don't crack the code and you don't get it right, Masters of the Universe is dead for another 10, 15 years. You do it right, and you find a way to do it that can be appealing to those of us who remember. Ray, what's the name of that documentary series you were watching? Power of Grayskull, this documentary that Ray got me watching a bit on Netflix, is really, you're not only going to get those people, you got to get the wider movie-going audience.
Oh, yeah.
And once they can find that way, and if they can do it right, then instead of having to wait for 10 to 15 years, we could be getting He-Man movies for the next 10 to 15 years. So, but you got to do it right. You just can't rush into it.
Well, I think you actually nailed it. This is a really tough nut to crack. I read a script, I think it was by Mark Prasevich, is that his last name? Called Grayskull. That was really, this was
great name, by the
this
way.
was like, I don't want to say 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It was really good. But the problem, I think the biggest problem facing a He-Man movie is, what kind of a movie is it supposed to be? If you go back and you look at the cartoon, like, I understand everyone's nostalgia for it. I actually bought the first run of He-Man figures, the initial Man-at-Arms and Merman and Beastman and He-Man. But if you're trying to adapt that cartoon, it's really goofy, you know, and in this day and age where people are getting Lord of the Rings and the Warcraft movie was a mixed bag.
Yeah.
What is the tone? What would, if you were making a He-Man movie, what is the tone?
I had a friend
what would
of mine,
you do?
I had a friend of mine who wants to say, this is how you do a He-Man movie. You do Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars. And that's, okay, that sounds easy to say, though. That's
Right.
easy to say. A little more difficult to crack that code, but yeah, it's how do you do it? It's a little challenging.
Those recent well, not recent, but over the last 10 years, they were doing these collector versions of the He-Man figures where they made them more, I guess, adult.
Right.
In a way, they made them cooler, not so kid-friendly. Those were cool. Like those designs, like the Wind Rider and the stuff that came out, those were really cool designs. And I'm like, okay, if you took what they did with those toys and then sort of imbued a movie with that coolness, then you could get more Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars. But like you said, that's really hard to do. It's hard. I mean, it's a tough nut to crack.
It is going to be interesting to see how they solve this, what kind of approach they want to take. But I think we're still a little ways off. I still think we're a little ways off. But hey, at least they've got some movement now, and they're bringing in some new writers.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on now to the final email of the day. And the final email today comes to us from Jean Shelley, who writes, did you hear that they're looking at making a sequel to The Social Network? This is something they should actually do. Is there a point? I love the first movie, but I thought it ended really well and doesn't really have anywhere to go. What do you think? All right, thanks a lot for the email, John. And just so you guys know what he's talking about, of course, the guy who wrote the first The Social Network, one of the great writers of our generation, Aaron Sorkin, was asked about it recently, and he was mentioning that the producer, Scott Rudin, had been getting in touch with him. Anyway, Aaron Sorkin had this to say about it, and this is what's getting everybody talking. Sorkin said the following: I've gotten more than one email from him, that's Scott Rudin, the producer, with an article attached saying, isn't it time for a sequel? First of all, I know a lot more about Facebook in 2005 than I do about it in 2018. But I know enough to know that there should be a sequel. A lot of very interesting, dramatic stuff has happened since that movie ends. And of course, that's the writer Aaron Sorkin, who just tried his hands in directing and did Molly's Game, which I thought was tremendously awesome.
I did too.
But anyway, Robert, do you think, number one, should there be a follow-up to a Facebook movie? And do you think people would be interested in it?
First of all, I think that The Social Network is one of the most rewatchable movies that's come out.
Oh, yeah.
I love that film. I love the performances. But the thing that makes The Social Network, I think, so great is at its core is you have this fracturing of a friendship. You
Yes.
know, you have Mark Zuckerberg and Eduardo Saverin, and then with
Played by
Nick
Andrew
Fury.
Garfield, who, by the way, wasn't nominated for Best Supporting Actor that year, and I think he should have won Best Supporting Actor that year.
He was so good, you know, and Justin Timberlake is so good in that performance, and Brenda Strong. I mean, it's a great movie. Now, what's happened with Facebook now? Facebook became a power player on the world stage.
Right.
And while I don't know how you find your way into a sequel to The Social Network, because what happened with Facebook, with Cambridge Analytics, and what happened with the 2016 election and data hacking, it's gone from being a story about friendship to being almost a James Bond thriller, and how Facebook has come to sort of encompass the planet. I mean, I remember the ad for Social Network. It says, how do you get to have 500 million friends without,
Yeah.
and now it's like,
Without making some enemies,
We're
yeah.
talking billions of people now, you know, billions of people, and Facebook changed communication for all of humanity. So I think it's rich. The material's rich for another movie about Facebook, but I don't know if you could make a sequel to The Social Network, because it doesn't have that friendship element that made it human and made it so rewatchable.
The interesting thing to me about first of all, your observations about the humanity angle of the story is bang on, which is why I thought Andrew Garfield should have won an Academy Award, because he brought the heart, he brought the humanity to the film, right? Here's the thing, though. I think there's a very interesting angle here, because you're going from a movie where Facebook is that little scrappy up-and-comer that can conquer the mountain and stand up against the big brothers of the world, to it has morphed into Big Brother.
Right.
It has become that thing that the little scrappy guy would fight against and climb those mountains. Because not only with the Cambridge stuff and the hacking stuff, there have been a lot of like alarms and flags raised about privacy and how Facebook is used to manipulate certain things and blah, and all this kind of stuff. And how somebody like this kid who started Facebook is now the head of one of the most giant corporations on the planet, and his struggles between his allegiance to his old philosophies versus his allegiance to being a corporate master and all this kind of stuff.
Definitely.
In the hands of an Aaron Sorkin, here's what I'll say. I'd be very down for a sequel if Aaron Sorkin wrote it again. If not, I'd be lukewarm on it, but if he wrote it, I'd be down for it.
I'm with you 100%. What you just said is very true. The Social Network was based on a book called The Reluctant Billionaires. So there was a roadmap for Sorkin to take. And there's been a lot of books written about Facebook in the intervening years. But I'm curious, I mean, would you still make the story about Zuckerberg? Or would you make it a bigger, more of maybe a thriller even? I don't know.
think I would still keep it character centric. I think I would tell from the story from the point of view of Zuckerberg and go from it that way. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see what approach they want to take. All right, guys, listen. That'll do it for all the email questions we have today. But we're going to go over and take a bunch of the live questions that a bunch of our viewers sent in before our stream went down. A bunch of live questions came in from our viewers. We want to get to those right now. We're going to start off with this. Dr. Panders writes, Kylo Ren's line in episode 7 when he is talking to Han, "I'm being torn apart. I want to be free of this pain," literally brings me to tears every time. Look, I unabashedly love The Force Awakens. I love The Force Awakens. I thought that movie was great. I remember, I tell the story a lot, but John Schnepp and I would, like, every couple of days, we would just walk across the street on our lunch hour, walk across the street to the AMB, Burbank 16, and just run into the theaters because we had our AMC cards, run into the theaters and just watch it again. And it's like every time we watched it, we liked it more and more and more. I love it. I still don't think it's as good as any of the original trilogy, but I thought it was fantastic. And yeah, I thought that line was great. Still, somebody has to explain to me why these designers who can build these huge space battle stations can't put hand railings on a walkway across an unspeakable chasm. I don't know. Did you like the line in the film?
I just kept hearing him saying, "You're tearing me apart, Lisa."
Oh, come on.
Kylo Ren is a punk. He's a 2-bit nothing. I can't wait to watch that guy go down.
So's Kirk. Anyway.
Oh!
Those were fighting words. By the way, William Shatner, good Canadian kid. All right. Keenan Color writes, "What's the best possible ending for Endgame?" Honestly, it's impossible to say because I got to see the first 2 acts. I have no, what's the best way for it to end? I got to see the first 2 acts before I can say that. You can say, oh, this is the best way for it to end, but it might be the worst.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way for it to end is the universe is irrevocably changed, and we're all left looking at the screen slack-jawed at what we just saw.
Cameron Belgrade writes, watched A Fish Called Wanda. Candace coming to kill me. I love A Fish Called Wanda. And Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, also one of the 10 best comedies ever made. Ruprecht. For the first time over the weekend, both were great. Definitely recommended for other people. Cameron, God bless you. You're doing God's work. Telling people about A Fish Called Wanda.
Oh, so good.
That movie holds up. So does Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. These are two iconic, all-time great films, both on my top 10 all-time favorite comedies.
Yep.
And I just be hard-pressed to tell you which one I like more. I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
Maybe Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, but...
And I believe that Charles Crichton directed A Fish Called Wanda, and he was like
Frank Oz
85 or 90.
directed Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Right, that's right.
The voice of Yoda himself.
Yes, absolutely. And I love both of those films. But, Charles Crichton directed Space 1999 episodes.
Oh, my God. Oh, and speaking of Frank Oz, the voice of Yoda, directing it, there's another Star Wars connection to Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Ian McDiarmid, the Emperor himself, plays Michael Caine's butler in that movie. It's awesome. You got to check it out. All right. KW Garrett writes, RIP to my movie pass card. Canceled this last week because impossible to use. Was a fun ride while it lasted. Over 16 months, I saw 70 movies. $828 in movie pass tickets. The concept of movie pass was a great dream, except they were a bunch of crooks and underhanded, immoral guys whose business plan was, let's act like the mafia and try to blackmail studios and theaters into working with us, and that was destined to fail. However, we do now have much better options. We have things like Cinemia. More importantly, we have things like AMC Movie Pass, which is the best movie membership I've ever seen.
Yep.
Cinemark has a really nice movie club thing going, and it's only a matter of time till Regal, who is owned by Cineworld, who's had a movie club thing going in the UK for over a decade. It's only a matter of time before Regal gets one going too. So we're living in good ages right now. I tore up my movie pass card a long time ago. Let's see. Zach Bartran writes, not sure if this was brought up before. I saw Aquaman again and noticed a cool Easter egg. There is an Annabelle doll sitting on the bottom of the ocean where they get Mara's ship out of the container. I never noticed that.
Oh, I saw that. I tweeted about it.
Did you?
Yeah, when we came out.
I follow you on Twitter. I follow like 8 people on Twitter. I follow you, and I didn't see that.
I said that. I didn't want to ruin it for anyone. I said something about if eagle-eyed viewers would see the cameo of a certain doll. I think that's what I said.
See,
and it's under. Yeah, it's under. What's cool about it is the camera's like here, and it's in the foreground, lying on the seafloor. And you're looking up. And
now I got to go back and watch it again just to catch the Annabelle thing.
It's good.
Ben Hayes, Edgar Magana writes, crazy Bohemian Rhapsody is at $750+ million worldwide. Well deserved. Bryan Singer knocked it out of the park with Bohemian Rhapsody. It's even getting. I don't know that it deserves awards buzz, but I loved this movie. I had a great time with it.
I really did too. And the movie, there's been a lot of criticism mostly about the movie's portrayal of Freddie Mercury, but it's not just the Freddie Mercury story. It was a celebration of Queen.
Yeah.
It's a celebration of creativity, and it was a celebration of how you can be in creative relationships with people, and it can be cantankerous, and sometimes it doesn't always work, but there was true love and respect amongst those guys. And I felt jubilant when I left that theater.
Yeah, I was in a great mood after watching it. It was wonderful. Ben Hayusa writes, so I actually went and saw The Upside, and it's surprisingly good, funny, touching. I was brought into the relationship of Hart, or I bought into the relationship of Hart and Cranston. I think this is Kevin's better performance, in my opinion. To me, that is. I'll put it this way. I still don't think Kevin Hart is a legit dramatic actor. But I had some big question marks surrounding Kevin Hart going into this film.
Sure.
And I'll say this, he did better than I expected. He really did. He did do better than I expected. I wasn't expecting a lot out of him from it. He did bring something I didn't know that he was capable of bringing to it. Again, not a performance we're going to be talking about for years to come or anything like that.
Right.
But better than I thought. And what more can you ask from somebody than show us more than what we think you can give us? And he did it. So full credit to him. And working with Bryan Cranston, I'm sure didn't hurt.
Right. I haven't seen it, so I really want to. And I've actually loved Kevin Hart as a performer. I like his presence.
Oh, yeah, he's a very
He's
entertaining,
very
funny
funny,
dude. But
yeah.
again, guys, see the Intouchables. See the Intouchables. You got to check that out. All right. Godzilla Love Campea writes, I watch your reviews on Man of Steel back when you were with AMC. You really changed me the way I feel about the movie. Man of Steel was a masterpiece. Well, I'm glad my review can maybe get you to look at something from a different point of view. That's great. But I never want somebody's opinion of a movie to be based on what I say.
Right.
Right. But I am glad you had a chance to check out the movie and gain an appreciation for maybe some of the things I brought up that maybe you didn't notice before. Again, I don't think Man of Steel is a masterpiece like The Godfather is a masterpiece, but I think it is a top 10 comic book movie of all time. I think it is a masterpiece of the comic book genre. I love this movie, and I think it gets better every time I see it.
I agree with you. And to me, like I've always told people, is I've looked at Man of Steel as a science fiction first contact story.
Yeah.
It's just a different look at the Superman origin. I think it's terrific.
All right, Ben Hayusa writes, all you care about is money. This town deserves a better class of criminal, and I'm going to give it to him. Is that Jack's Joker?
That's Heath Ledger.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Heath Ledger. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I got the Joker. I knew it was Joker. That's right. And I'm going to give it to him. What's that saying? Never mind. Oh, yeah, enema. This town needs an enema. That was Jack. Jake Vidmar writes, which one of you would survive longer in a quiet place scenario? Personally, I don't think I would last one day. Well, I don't know your background. I know I grew up we've got the ranch, and I grew up camping every year and living in the Canadian wilderness, hunting for my moose for food.
Well, I'm from Seattle. I went to summer camp. We had overnights in the San Juan Islands. No, I mean I was a Boy Scout. I think I could survive, but I don't know if you and I could survive together because we'd get in arguments about Hobbs and Shaw, and start yelling about that. But
you know what I would do? I'd put a little my cell phone in Han's pocket, set the volume to loud, and set the timer to go off. That's what I would do. Just make sure I was like 20 feet away from Han.
Oh,
and say, that was for you, Jason Statham. All right. Spencer Main writes, has Robert Meyer Burnett seen Spider-Verse yet?
Yes,
I have. We talked about it on the show last week.
Loved it.
We were just actually talking about it off air before we started doing
absolutely.
the show. Spencer follows up with, more influential, Stan Lee or Walt Disney? All right.
Ooh.
The answer is Walt Disney. That is the answer. Stan Lee, incredibly influential, but follow the branch here to the root. Marvel is only what Marvel is today because Disney acquired Marvel. And Disney is only around because of Walt Disney. And the influence and spread and dominance of Disney goes beyond just one of their sub-brands, which is Marvel. You cannot overstate the importance of Stan Lee. Absolutely. But Walt Disney influenced not just entertainment and business and pop culture and like the roots and branches that spring from the seeds he planted are just globally dominant at this point. So I got, as much as it would be cool to say Stan Lee, and again, you can't overstate his importance, it's got to be Walt Disney.
I couldn't agree more. And look, what Walt Disney's been doing, he was doing since the 30s. And if you had a television in the 50s, The Wonderful World of Disney, I mean, he was inside every house in America, indeed all over the world. So we know Disney the way it is now. But Walt Disney died in 1966, and his, like you had said, his influence was global, was planetary, way before there was a Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And a lot of Marvel's success is due to the influence of Disney.
Yes.
So it's all kind of connected in that way, but both Pantheon of the Gods, man. Both Pantheon of the Gods. Ben writes, are you guys going to do a rewatch before new Game of Thrones? I don't have time. There's still too much new TV I'm not even getting around to, so unfortunately, probably not.
Oh, I'm gonna. My Blu-rays are, I'm getting them out. I'm prepping
No
them now.
doubt.
I'm polishing the boxes even now.
Spencer Main is writing, I predict Rams Chiefs. Well, listen, it's not hard to predict Rams Chiefs. They're both great. But I'll tell you what, Saints beat up on some fools this year. And guess what? The Patriots have already beaten the Chiefs. So it could very easily be Rams Chiefs. It could very easily be Saints Pats. I mean, that's the thing. You literally have what you should have. The number 1 and number 2 in each division. That's how it should be, and that's what we got. And it's going to be an amazing playoff weekend next weekend.
Yes, it is.
It's going to be amazing. All right. Let's see. Kyle Massiero writes, thoughts on Lawrence of Arabia? It's my goat. I talk about Lawrence of Arabia all the time. It's in my top 10 films of all time. What else is there to say? By the way, camera in Lawrence of Arabia, take a look. It always moves left to right in the camera, in the cinematography.
Now I'm going to have to go back and watch. I mean, look, it's David Lean. It's one of the, you can't go wrong with Lawrence of Arabia. But, you know, is Lawrence of Arabia better than The Godfather?
I don't think so, but they both live in the top 10 to me.
Absolutely. Me too.
Ghostface 1999 writes, Ben-Hur won Best Actor / Best Supporting Actor among its Oscars. Does it make it superior than Lord of the Rings? It didn't win any acting awards, or is it apples to oranges? It's very much apples to oranges because unlike Ben-Hur, which had a clearly defined lead actor in the film, and your clearly defined supporting actor in the film.
Right.
The Lord of the Rings had no defined lead actor. That was part of the struggle with it. There was no real defined lead actor. It was very much just a pure ensemble piece, unlike we've ever really seen. And that's why amongst Lord of the Rings, Return of the King's 11 Academy Awards that it won, including Best Picture, and by the way, it swept every category Lord of the Rings, Return of the King was nominated for, it won.
Yeah.
Without exception. And there were no nominations for actors because they just didn't know what to do with it at that time. So I'd say it's an apples to oranges situation. Would you agree?
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Ismail Edo writes, hey, John, would you write or direct a film again? I would. This has been brought up to me before. I've done documentary. I've done some feature stuff. But I really think what I like most is producing. I just think producing is what I like doing more. But I mean, I would direct again. I actually got offered to direct a couple. I'll tell you the story about this afterwards, but that I eventually turned down, and I'm glad that I did. James Bonner writes, I'm going with Wonder Woman 2 as the next billion-dollar movie, or at least the one that gets closest to it. Well, see, here's the question. Here's the problem with that, James. By saying you think Wonder Woman's going to be the next to hit $1 billion, and it doesn't come out till 2020, you're saying Captain Marvel won't, which I don't think it will either. But you're also saying Spider-Man Far From Home won't. And you're saying Shazam won't, and it may or may not. But you're putting your bet that those other ones don't. And I really think it's hard to bet against that Spider-Man movie, man. With the reception it got and the money it made in the first one and the momentum coming off of Avengers, I don't know. It seems risky to bet against it. That's just my thought on that. Brian Esparza writes, have you guys seen Dog's Way Home? Movie was hot garbage. I'll tell you what, I did not see it. But I've talked to a couple of people who have, and people seem to like it. People seem to like it.
They showed the whole movie in the trailer.
I know, but that doesn't speak to anything to the quality of the movie.
No,
though.
I know. I
trust me, I've complained about that too, but it doesn't speak to the quality of the movie.
That's true.
So I don't know. So you didn't like it clearly, though, Brian, and that's cool. All films subjective. You didn't like it. You didn't like it. Jared's Reviews writes, hope you guys had a good weekend. My Saturday was nice watching some football and my Minnesota Timberwolves getting a nice win against the Pelicans. I'll tell you what, the Timberwolves are better than people give them credit for, and a great weekend of football. It was not all my teams won. I made picks, and I went 2 for 2 in my picks. I went 2-0 on Saturday's games, and I went 0 for 2 on Sunday's games.
Look, I was just happy to see the Cowboys get their asses handed to them after what they did to my beloved Seahawks.
They certainly did. Puck the Patriots just sends in a super chat. Kevin Rubio writes, what's your favorite to watch on a rainy day? No one particular movie. For rainy days, I like comedy. I like comedies on rainy days. Don't know why, but I like comedies. What about you?
I like period pieces.
You know what's
a great rainy day movie? The Coen Brothers' Miller's Crossing.
Oh,
I love Miller's Crossing. I love the actors. I love the wacky dialogue. It's not wacky. It's a gangster movie, but it's one of my favorite gangster movies. But it takes place in a slightly off-kilter gangster universe, and it's a good rainy day movie.
All right, Sam Mack writes, hey guys, just wanted to tell y'all that I got my first hot toy. Thanks to my fiance, Baby Groot, because we all need more Baby Groot in our lives. By the way, John, have some more faith in our Patriots. LOL. And yes, speaking of, let me just see here. I'll bring over we got Baby Groot right here. So Baby Groot in the house. This is kind of like adolescent Groot, not quite teenage Groot yet. So he's in there. I love this.
That's like 1-to-1 scale.
I love this. I couldn't believe it. Were you with me when I came across this thing? No, Ray was with me.
Yeah, but it's great.
Couldn't believe when I came across this fella, and I snapped him up, and I'm glad that I did.
He's great.
And by the way, if your fiance got you your hot toy, Yeah, that's a keeper.
Although I just want to point out that don't ever tell your fiance that your hot toy, she should be your hot toy. Just saying.
Relationship advice with Robert Meyer Burnett. Murray Reich writes, one more ring and Brady can snap his fingers and erase half of the NFL. There's a great image I saw and I put up on my Twitter of Brady with he's just standing there like this with 5 giant rings on his hands. And the subcaption, all Brady needs is one more ring to snap his fingers and erase half of the NFL. It's true, man. He's going for it. All right, Angry Irish Benjamin writes, what makes you so special? Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. This is Captain America First Avenger, is it not? Isn't the Red Skull that says to him, what makes you so special?
I think so.
I think that's the line. Correct me if I'm wrong, Angry Irish. Angry Irish follows up with, speaking as an MCU fan, I immensely enjoyed Aquaman and I'm glad it's doing well. DC fans should get the same rush we do. DC fans should get the same rush we do when we see our movies. So as an MCU fan, blah, blah. Look, I personally have never understood the notion of I'm a Marvel fan and I'm a DC fan. I am a comic book movie fan.
Right.
I don't care whose corporate label is slapped on the movie. Just give me a good movie. Now, do I have a little bit more faith in the MCU movies at this point? Sure. They've earned that. Sure. DC's making some nice moves to get themselves back on track nicely. Great. I just cheer for every comic book movie. Doesn't mean I like every comic book movie. I just cheer from them all, though.
You know, when I was a kid, they had these oversized comic editions. And when they did the Superman Spider-Man crossover, that was the coolest thing in the world. I mean, it was like I did not, when I was a kid, I didn't sit there and go, oh, I like DC better than I like Marvel. I used to have debates over who was more powerful, the Justice League or the Avengers. You know, Silver Surfer was probably more powerful than Superman, maybe, I don't know. But we loved them all. Like, I don't get it.
You know what? I will say this, though. As somebody who cannot stand the toxic blind zombie corporate slave mentality that some people brought, I only like Marvel movies or I only like DC movies. I'll tell you what, though. I've been getting a little bit encouraged lately because when Infinity War came out, I saw some traditional places that are just, I hate anything Marvel, was like, you know what? Infinity War is pretty good. It's like, woo. And now Aquaman's having success and I'm seeing some of the more traditional, I hate DC. People going, you know what? Good for Aquaman. Aquaman was pretty fun. I'm not saying the toxicity is gone. I'm not saying that, but it's nice seeing some softer edges. It's like I feel like the pendulum's correcting itself a little bit at this point.
Fandom should be non-toxic.
Agreed. Completely agree. I love what I love. You love what you love. And let's just love that we get to love things.
Yeah.
Roman Bryant writes, Haley Steinfeldman for Mary Jane Watson. Make it happen. I'm not quite sure who that is.
Steinfeld. Haley Stein. He corrects it.
Oh, and then he's Steinfeld. Okay. No.
Really?
I love her. I don't see her as Mary Jane. I think she's wonderful. It's just a matter of fit to me. I just don't think it's a fit.
I don't know. I think I could see it.
I mean, she'd be a better fit than what was her name in the first couple of Spider-Man movies.
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst, terrific performer. Terrible choice for Mary Jane. That was not a fit.
I really I like her a lot. I mean, I've liked her since she played the young vampire. And
yeah.
Vampire Diaries. So good.
Let's see. Brian Paz writes, what movie has sold the most tickets ever? I got to believe it's probably Gone with the Wind.
Yeah. Because of re-releases. People don't remember, but movies like Gone with the Wind kept getting re-released in theaters year after year after year.
Because that was an era when not 700 wide-release movies were put out every year. Right. So it was a very different era at the time. Jose Robles writes, have you seen Instant Family? Loved it. Yeah, I talked about it a while ago. I was a little bit late to the party on it. It was, I didn't love it. But it was a nice little film. Yes, Mark Wahlberg.
I haven't seen it.
But I thought it was a nice little movie.
It looked good.
Yeah, it was all right. Patrick Conway writes, thoughts on the Lady Sif on Disney Plus show and Black Widow R-rated rumors during the weekend, not buying it about Black Widow. Absolutely BS, the Black Widow thing. That's BS. Yeah. Absolute BS. No way they're going to do that rated R. No chance in hell. Play the Vince McMahon music. No chance in hell that that's going to happen. Lady Sif... I don't think so. Look, she's got her other show. She's got Blind Spot running, and it's going into its like 5th season, I think, something like that. So I don't expect that. Although, look, I'd be all for a Lady Sif show.
Yeah, why not?
I like the character a lot, and I think she's great. Let's see. Murray Reich writes, a social media manager is a nice, fine idea, but who says even those approved tweets won't come back to bite you in the ass? After all, jokes are subjective. True. This is all coming from one of the things that I've mentioned is that a lot of professional athletes now hire professional social media managers who will see the tweet that the athlete's trying to push out first, but it won't actually go to the internet until the social media manager sees it and goes, and just says, okay, this one's pretty safe. Look, does it guarantee that you're never going to have problems? No. But having an extra set of eyes that isn't you is always a good idea. Always a good idea. Does it guarantee 100% safety? No. But condoms aren't 100% safe either. Are you going to say, then who cares about the condom? Let's just go old natural. No, it's still a good idea. Still a good idea. Relationship advice with John Campea. All right. Tristan Larson writes, the coin got here the same way I did. Oh, no, that's not what I don't even recognize it.
I don't either.
The coin got here the same way I did.
Google that.
Yeah, everybody in the chat board answered that one for Tristan. That one's got me stumped. Ben writes, what happens first, the Crow or the Batman? You want to talk about a movie, we were talking about Masters of the Universe. You want to talk about a movie that has gone through like 8 different iterations of trying to get the movie going. We've had everybody from Luke Evans playing the new Crow.
Right.
Tom Hiddleston playing the new Crow. There was even talk of a Bradley Cooper playing the new Crow at one point.
Jason
Momoa was signed up. It was all signed up like 2 months away from shooting the movie. And then he walked. They've gone through about 4 different sets of directors, 4 different I gotta say, as much as we dog on Batman, I gotta say Batman. Batman's gonna happen before the Crow reboot does.
First of all, if you want the Crow to happen, go get the Crow. Go get Alex Proyas' 1994 The Crow and watch it because it's wonderful.
They've already seen it many times.
Ugh.
That quote was No Country for Old Men.
Oh, No Country for Old Men. Thank you. That's a good one. That's a really good one, actually. Let's see here.
That makes me want to watch that. There's a good rainy day movie.
Oh, that's a great movie. Let's see. Raymond Verrata writes, after last night's ties at the Critics' Choice, would it make everybody happy if all nominees got a trophy? On the other hand, it would feed into our entitlement that everybody should get a medal. Yeah, to me, look, a lot of the awards stuff now, look, I used to hold the Critics' Choice Awards up as the second or third, I thought, most legit award show. But then they started introducing categories just for the sake of trying to get eyeballs to their show.
Right.
It's like, oh, so it's not about celebrating movies anymore. Now it's just about you trying to make your organization look bigger and bigger. And yeah, that's why I'm always arguing and again screaming whenever the Oscars suggest adding categories that are just participation awards. That that drives me crazy. Awards should mean something. And let's just give one to everybody. Ties is stupid. I'm sorry. You can't tell me it was literally a tie. Not with that many voters. You cannot tell me it was literally a tie. And if it is a tie, you've got to have a mechanism in place to get a tiebreaker. That's stupid. A tie is dumb. Anyway, I'm not going to go off on that too hard.
I'm with you.
All right. Let's see here. Jeff Fortner writes, Joker will set the precedent that you and I are craving. More standalone universe comic book movies. I want the 90s back with way better quality. Look, that's one of the reasons I was excited about Joker. I still am. Superhero movies used to be about a unique being who was truly unique in the universe. Now everything's got to be shared cinematic universe where a superhero is honestly nothing special. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my shared cinematic universe. I love the MCU, love the DCU, love the X-Men universe, all that kind of crap. Love it all. But why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't we also have true standalone movies where Spider-Man was truly unique in the world? Where Superman was truly unique in the world? Where Batman, there was nobody else like Batman.
Right.
Everything's got to have a superhero in every 7-Eleven. And it would be nice to see some balance. A couple of standalone movies every year, a couple of shared cinematic universe movies every year.
I'm with
you. A little bit of balance. As
with you.
all things should be. All right. Let's see here.
Like the Force.
Well, like Thanos. It's perfectly balanced, as all things should be. All right, here we go. Lyle Navin writes, I predict 1.6 to 1.8 billion for Endgame, 900 million. I don't know.
Far From Home.
900 million Far From Home. Yeah, I'm gauging 1.8, 1.9 for Endgame. So clearly, I'm not going to follow my seat of surprise if it does cross a $2 billion movie line. You think it's 2.5 is a real possibility?
I think if it packs that emotional wallop that we all hope it packs, And I think it could be 2.5.
But Infinity War did pack that emotional wall, but it still only made $2 billion. Listen to us. Only $2 billion.
I don't know, man. If it's that good, I'll see it 6 more times.
All right, Sam Tampa
I love
writes,
my Infinity War. I'm going to see Endgame, man. Come on.
have you seen Titans? Oh my God, that Batman suit is awful. No, I have, again, like I said, I have no interest in getting the DC streaming service until... Oh, is it it's time? So Ray's saying we're going to get it now.
Can you get the free trial?
Yeah.
It's like 7 days. I just was waiting for all the
Ray had this strategy that we're gonna get the free 1 week trial, but we wanted to wait until all the first season of Titans was done.
I'm doing that today.
So we get the free trial.
I've been waiting for this. I didn't know it was today.
I don't want to
Today
sign up for the service until they at least get Swamp Thing. I want to see more than just one original show.
Right.
Once they do, I might sign up for it. But it looks like this week might be the week I'm checking out Titans. But thank you for letting me know that Batman shows up in it. Cody Carroll writes, Stan Lee is in Teen Titans. Go to the movies. Reason to watch it. That's not a reason to watch. That's not a reason to watch it. I love Stan Lee, but that's not a reason to watch it. Cody Carroll follows up, hoping Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles goes back to its dark roots, PG-13 or R. God, I would love that, but I just don't think they're going to do it.
Yeah, well, I don't think they can. I mean, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was morphed into a children's franchise.
Skateboard riding, pizza loving, cowabunga dude.
You can't go back and turn it into some dark R-rated.
You can find a middle ground.
Well, you could.
I'm hoping they can find a middle ground.
You could Deadpool it up.
Maybe not. I don't know that that's a middle ground. All right. I'm going to fly through the next bunch of ones here, guys. Devontae Brown writes, saw Heat for the first time. Good on you. Check the box office. Only 67 million domestically, 187 million worldwide. Not bad, but expected better from what I heard. I thought the movie's great. Look, Heat is not in my top 10 all-time favorite films.
No.
But it's a wonderful film.
It's a
and
great
Val
movie.
Kilmer is so... Everybody always talks about, of course, De Niro, of course, and Pacino, of course. Val Kilmer is great in that movie.
Everybody's great. And look, the gun battle on the streets of downtown LA, I mean, come on.
Probably the best ever shot.
It's amazing. Outside of a John Woo movie, oh my God, come on.
But good on you for checking that one out, Devontae. Salah Panchud writes, I think Luke is still alive in episode 9, not as a Force ghost, though. Also, how come there is such little buzz around the movie? I can't go one day without hearing people talk about Star Wars Episode 9.
Me neither.
And not to mention, the movie is 1 year away. The movie is a year away. I believe there is a 5% chance that he is still actually alive. Not a Force ghost, alive. But that means I believe there is a 95% chance that he's actually dead. And you know what? Even my 5% took a little bit of a hit because they put in the graphic novel version of The Last Jedi, Luke saying, and this is how it ends, before he fades away. That kind of suggests that he's dead. But I don't know. I still think there's a small percent chance. What do you think, Robert?
Maybe. I mean, Mark Hamill's going to come back and wreck shop anyway. I hope he drives a lightsaber right through that pissant Kylo Ren's face.
Oh, everybody wants to see that, but it's going to probably be Ray that does it. Trevor Johnson writes, if movie industry was Pulp Fiction, Aquaman was the adrenaline needle in the DCEU Uma Thurman. I don't know. Look, it was not the be-all, fix-all. Aquaman was not the be-all, fix-all. You know what had the opportunity to be the be-all, fix-all? Batman versus Superman. Batman versus Superman had the opportunity to, I believed at the time, because Marvel was so far ahead at the time.
Right.
I believed at the time, and I still believe to this day, that had Batman versus Superman come out of the gate and crushed it with the critics and the audience and all that kind of stuff, I believe it would be a different landscape today. But it didn't. And then the following films didn't. I don't think one win gets it all back on track, but I'll tell you what, winning cures everything, man. And it has changed the narrative of the the narrative of the DCU has changed from skepticism to optimism. It may not be the adrenaline shot to the heart, but it's definitely a huge step in the right direction.
I thought it was a huge step in the right direction, but I don't think it if anything, it proved that they can make these movies without being part of a larger universe. Because if you follow the logic of Aquaman, why didn't Superman just show up and go, hey guys, what's up? Are you really going to attack the surface world?
Let me get a hold of a guy I know. I know a guy. Let me get a hold of somebody. Why did he do that?
Yeah, I mean, it was not part of a cinematic universe. It was a great standalone superhero movie. But if anything, they shied away from that. One mention of Steppenwolf and that's it. Where were the Amazonians? Were they aware that the Atlanteans exist?
Well, they couldn't go underwater. Superman could have.
I guess not.
All
I don't
right.
know.
Bat Submarine could have. Just saying. Bat Submarine, everybody. Can you believe I was a virgin until I was 19? Helsing7747 writes, if the DCEU keeps making a lot of money without Superman and Batman, is it possible they might not use them until they reboot their movie universe? Reintroducing them in the DCU might be risky. You know, somebody asked me on a live show over the weekend, hey, do you think with the success of Aquaman now, this will make Warner Brothers want to go back and bring back Ben and bring back Henry? And my answer was, if anything, it'll do the complete opposite. What this tells Warner Brothers and DC right now is like, oh, we do Wonder Woman without Batman and Superman.
Right.
Big hit. We do Aquaman without Batman and Superman. Big hit. You know what, Helsing? I don't think you're far off. I really don't. Now, I still think this Matt Reeves Batman movie is going to happen. I still think it's going to happen. I'm starting to have doubts, but I still believe it's going to happen. But yeah, every time one of these movies, and oh my God, if Shazam comes out, and forget $1 billion, if Shazam comes out and makes $650 million or $700 million, then Warner Brothers is going to be screw Batman and Superman.
Right.
For now. For now. They're on a roll.
Plus, let's not forget about the Christopher Nolan Batman standalone films. They did quite well. They were not part of, I mean, we're talking $1 billion for 2 of those movies.
Yep.
And they weren't connected to any greater universe. You can easily go back and make Batman movies that are not part of any universe at all and just make standalone Batman movies. And if they're good, people will go.
And that's actually Christopher Nolan insisted upon that, to keep
Yeah.
it separate, not a part of any magic in his universe.
Absolutely.
Brian Esparza writes, wouldn't Roma be in the best foreign language category? Yes, it is, but that doesn't disqualify it from being in the main best
No.
picture category either. You can be in both. A good example of that is one of my favorite films of all time, Life is Beautiful with Roberto Benigni. Italian foreign language film, also nominated for Best Picture, so
Yep.
you can be both. And Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth was Best Foreign Language Film and nominated for Best Picture as well that year, so you can be both. Victor Watson writes, Kevin Hart's movie, #1 at the box office. Nice to see. And Aquaman, $1 billion Club, glad for both parties. I'm glad for both parties, too. It's really good to see. Santez Henderson writes, I'm afraid the air conditioners left me cold to your pleas of mercy. Allow me to break the ice. My name is Freeze. One of the worst films of all time.
Oh, it's so wrong-headed.
Freeze.
But you know, I've been watching Chris Stuckman's his hilariosity reviews.
Right.
And it's worth it just for his hilariosity review of Batman.
I'll
and
have to
Robin.
check that out.
Oh my God.
Brian Esparza writes, are Shamhammer's movies so bad it's good or just bad? Hey, no, his good ones are real good.
Yeah.
His bad ones are real bad. Just bad. Not so bad they're good, just bad. But his good ones are great.
You know, I read the script for The Happening, and I liked it. I'd read the script before I saw the movie, and when I saw the movie, I was like, what the hell, man? Like, there's not one real note in that film at all. And I'm like, how did you take this script and turn it into this movie? That alone is one of the great mysteries of my life.
So clearly you didn't see the final working script. You probably saw an earlier draft of it.
Well, the way it read, the movie is just, like you said, bad.
Right.
Everything in it is bad.
Ray just said The Happening is good, and I just want to say thanks to Ray for all the time he's put in working here on this show. It was nice having him. And we'll have a new guy behind the camera starting soon. All right. Lady in the Water, as Ashley's pointing out, is probably even worse. And no, it is. Lady in the Water is one of the worst crimes against humanity I've ever seen. Like, it's just.
It's yet not.
You couldn't purposefully make a movie worse. If you tried to make a movie worse, you couldn't make it worse than Lady in the Water. And
No.
you had Paul. Why am I forgetting Paul's last name? What's that? Yeah, Paul Giamatti.
yes.
You had Paul Giamatti in it, for heaven's sakes. Anyway, all right. Last 2 questions of the day. Victor Watson writes, I was getting ready to work out with you guys playing in the background. Dang, the live stream is down. Congrats on your Patriots, John. Yeah, I thought the Chargers would beat my Patriots. I thought the Chargers would beat them.
So did I.
It was just their year. And then, oh yeah, that's right. You're Tom Brady. Scores touchdowns in the first 4 possessions. There you go. And Brass Drake writes, final question of the day. Just a little bit to support the show. One fixed punched hole in the wall at a time, John. Keep bringing the filthy. Thank you so much, Brass Drake. It's a frustrating way to start my day. But you know what? You reminded me that my Patriots won the game. You know what's funny? I feel like every single year I have to do this.
You're going to talk about Hobbs and Shaw again?
No.
Okay.
No. Hashtag Han had it coming. Anyway, the funny thing is every year people go, John, how did you become a Patriots fan? It's like every year people ask me this, and I constantly have to answer it every single freaking year. And people go, oh, you're just a bandwagon fan. Goes, wait, listen, here's how I became a New England Patriots fan, right? Because I lived in Hamilton, Ontario, which is just a rock stone's throw away from Buffalo, I kind of grew up as a Bills fan. Then my Bills got to the Super Bowl. I was young, but the Bills got to the Super Bowl, their first time going to the Super Bowl, and they lost to the New York Giants on a missed field goal. At the very end, they missed the field goal to lose. So you Chicago Bear fans think you had it bad. Ours happened in the Super Bowl. Anyway, Bill Parcells was the coach of the New York Giants at the time. And I remember even as a kid, I was a weird kid. I was more fans of coaches than even players. Bill Parcells became a huge fan of his because he just outcoached the Bills that game. Parcells later went on to coach the New England Patriots, who were terrible. But when he went there, I was like, I'm going to start following the Patriots. And that's when I became a Patriots fan, was back then.
See, I got to hand it to you because that's a very legit story. So no one can take that away from you because, I thought you were a bandwagon guy too.
No, and then I became a fan. I became a fan of the Seattle Seahawks. Not as big of a fan as the Pats,
right?
But it became when Pete Carroll went there because I just thought Pete Carroll coached an exciting brand of football. And then, true story. Sorry, guys, we're supposed to end the show, but true story. So I'm doing my
Uncle
movie
Pete's
show
the
one
best,
day,
by the
right?
way.
I'm doing the show one day, and it was going into the semifinals. Right, it was the division championships. And I say at the end of the show, that'll be for me, everybody. See you next time. And go Legion of Boom, who is, of course, the defense, right? I get an email from Pete Carroll's son, who was one of the offensive coordinators for the Seattle Seahawks, and said, hey, man, thanks for the shutout. You want to come to Seattle and come watch a game? I'll give you some field passes. And me and Ann were like, what games can we come? And we couldn't figure out a time that we could fly up to Seattle to do it. But I thought that was one of the coolest experiences of somebody writing to me. He said, hey, I'm one of the coaches of the Seattle Seahawks, Pete Carroll's son. You want to come down to the game?
Wow.
It was awesome.
Pete Carroll's the man. Uncle
I
Pete.
love Pete Carroll.
You know what my favorite thing about Pete Carroll is? When he's down and then halftime comes. And I don't know what he says. I don't know if he gives him the Al Pacino, we fight for every inch speech from any given Sunday, but he changes things around and they come back and they win. Resounding victory. I want to know what Pete Carroll's halftime magic is.
You know what the other cool thing about Pete Carroll is? He might have the best physique out of any NFL coach, and he is by far the oldest coach in the NFL.
Oh, he is
and you see him running out in the field throwing the passes with everybody.
Pete's
he surfs. He surfs like the dude's awesome.
Pete Carroll is like Bodie from Point Break.
He's Patrick Swayze.
He's Patrick Swayze. That's what Pete Carroll is. Pete Carroll is Bodie from Point Break.
All right, guys, listen, we've gone over time here. Thanks so much for joining us here today on this show. Really appreciate it. And who I appreciate the most is the Han-loving guy sitting next to me, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, where can people find you online?
Well, you can find me going on to Twitter at BurnettRM talking about justice for Han. You can find me on Instagram at RM Burnett, or find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, where I've been talking every day because I've been inspired by this man. So join me there for my live chats.
And, of course, you guys can follow me on social media. Follow me on Twitter at John Campea. Follow me on Instagram at John Campea as well. People keep telling me, you don't promote your Instagram. All right, my Instagram's at johncampea.com. And, of course, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter, simply at Han Had It Coming. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, I don't know if I'm making it out of here. Bye-bye.